City.
Dun & Bradstreet have confirmed 357 local councils in England alone are registered as a business. So that means they are run for profit, not public bodies/authorities run for the people. Here is a list of them with Dun & Bradstreet company registration numbers. Shocking, isn't it? What's even more shocking is the majority of the 357 councils are parent companies and have many more branches associated to them. Remember what the Clearfield Doctrine is saying. When private commercial paper is used by corporate government, then government loses its sovereignty status and becomes no different than a mere private corporation. As such, government then becomes bound by the rules and laws that govern private corporations, which means that if they intend to compel an individual to some specific performance based upon its corporate statutes or corporation rules, then the government, like any private corporation, must be the holder in due course of a contract or other commercial agreement between it and the one upon whose demands for specific performance are made. And further, the government must be willing to enter the contract or commercial agreement into evidence before trying to get the court to enforce its demands, called statutes. Ribble Valley Borough Council is a registered business on Dun & Bradstreet. They were also registered on Company Check until they vanished from the register after receiving documents from a living man and living woman showing them the evidence. A living man and living woman who have recorded their birth certificate and taken ownership of their legal fiction with the Common Law Court Great Britain and International, received a council tax bill for 2020/1. Look at your council tax bill. Your name will be in all capital letters. That's your legal fiction, your business, created without your consent, so another business can do business with you without you ever knowing the scam. In response to the council tax bill, a 10-page document was sent to Ribble Valley Borough Council, 19th March 2020, by the living man and living woman. They stated they were not refusing to pay any lawful debt and were not refusing to pay any council tax if it can be proved lawful. Let us see if their questions were answered. Here is the information and questions they asked.
Who is Ribble Valley Borough Council? Provide the identity of the living man or woman, Ribble Valley Borough Council. Who is the Section 151 officer at Ribble Valley Borough Council? Provide evidence showing Ribble Valley Borough Council has irrefutable evidence of proof of claim and proof of debt. Note that Ribble Valley Borough Council is required by law to provide irrefutable evidence of proof of claim and proof of debt. Provide the non-color of law proof of evidence where it says we have to pay council tax. Provide the name of the dictionary that Ribble Valley Borough Council uses to create council tax bills. Provide the meaning for the following words: person, occupier, resident, bill, debt, claim. Provide us with the name of the styles manual used to format the council tax bill, sent to us 16 March 2020, from Ribble Valley Borough Council. Who grants authorization for Ribble Valley Borough Council to make demands upon men and women for council tax? Is it not the case that the Local Government Finance Act is only an act and not law? A simple yes or no answer is fine. Provide details of our consent to the Local Government Finance Act. Provide a copy of all Ribble Valley Borough Council financial accounts for financial year ending 2019. Showing how much money came in, showing how much money went out, showing how much money went to who, showing how much money went to where. Provide all accounts of all trading names and derivatives of Ribble Valley Borough Council. Explain why boxes are placed around certain text. The following refers specifically to Exhibit A and Exhibit B, the Council Tax Bill. A simple yes or no answer is fine. Is it not the case that anything inside a box is removed off the page? Is it not the case that boxes break the continuation of the facts? Is it not the case that boxes break the continuation of the jurisdiction? Is it not the case that boxed-off text remove that text off the page? Is it not the case that your capitalized letters are in Dog Latin, and/or American Sign Language, and are to be removed off the page? Is it not the case that MAR and APR are non-existent months? Is it not the case that these date formats 13 MAR 2020, 1 APR 2020, and 31 MAR 2021 are non-existent dates? Is it not the case that everything that follows below a line is to be disregarded, as though removed from the page? A heavy line adds weight to this. Is it not the case that address bill relates to, does not make sense, creates cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal? Is it not the case that charge for period, does not make sense, creates cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal? Is it not the case that band E, does not make sense, creates cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal? Is it not the case that C could mean anything, i.e. cricket club, creating cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal? Is it not the case that LCC could mean anything, i.e. Liverpool Chess Club, creating cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal? Is it not the case that BC could mean anything, i.e. before Christ, creating cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal? Is it not the case that Lancashire Fire could mean anything, creating cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal? Is it not the case that Lancashire Police could mean anything, creating cognitive dissonance, ambiguity, and patent ambiguity, rendering your document not legal?
This is Exhibit A and B. It points out the frauds on the Council Tax Bill. Ribble Valley Borough Council have never rebutted any points raised, and are now accepted as facts in law. On the 12th August 2020, a document was sent to Ribble Valley Borough Council titled Estoppel against Ribble Valley Borough Council. It confirmed, certified and ratified all the living man and living woman's points and claims made against Ribble Valley Borough Council. Still ignoring all points and claims raised by the living man and living woman against Ribble Valley Borough Council, a 110-page document was sent to Ribble Valley Borough Council, dated 12 May 2021, titled Certified Ratified Declaration against Ribble Valley Borough Council. It confirmed, certified, and ratified all the living man and living woman's points and claims made against Ribble Valley Borough Council. In legal terms, estoppel and common law, passive acquiescence is taken as permission granted over time. Estoppel by silence, estoppel by inaction, estoppel by standing by occurs when the respondent fails to challenge or refute the documents within a reasonable time and answer each claimed point individually. 19th March 2020 to 12th May 2021, with no response from Ribble Valley Borough Council. 14 months seems reasonable time to anyone. Ribble Valley Borough Council have committed and are committed to obfuscation, circumlocution, malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance, patent ambiguity, fraud, and fraud with intent to defraud, to deprive a legal right for unlawful gain. Estoppel, in its broadest sense, is penalty paid by one perpetrating wrong, by known fraud or by affirmative act, which, though without fraudulent intent, may result in legal fraud on another. Ratification by estoppel. Estoppel is a bar that prevents one from asserting a claim or right that contradicts what one has said or done before, or what has been legally established as true. A bar that prevents the relitigation of issues. An affirmative defense alleging good faith reliance on a misleading representation, and an injury or detrimental change in position resulting from that reliance. Lord Coke, estop. From the English, stopped. Conclusion, because a man's own act or acceptance stoppeth or closeth up his mouth to allege or plead the truth. Ribble Valley Borough Council have breached the following Black's Law Dictionary estoppels many times. 1. Estoppel by representation. 2. Estoppel by negligence. 3. Estoppel by misrepresentation. 4. Promissory estoppel. 5. Equitable estoppel. 6. Quasi-estoppel. 7. Estoppel by silence. 8. Estoppel by inaction. 9. Estoppel by standing by. Ribble Valley Borough Council have still not proven council tax to be lawful. The first time they gave any response to the document submitted to them, 19th March 2020, was 11th April 2023. They gave a standard response all councils send out when anyone challenges council tax.
Council tax was introduced by the Local Government Finance Act 1992 and is a statutory charge, not contractual. The documentation, namely the council tax demand served upon you and any subsequent notices, are proof of your lawful obligation to pay the balance.
1. An act is not law. 2. Ribble Valley Borough Council is a registered business and has lost its sovereignty. Therefore, they have to follow contract law. 3. Serving demands and notices are not proof of anything, especially any obligation to pay.
The arguments that you are making regarding council tax have no legal basis in law, and I would refer you to the Council Tax, Administration and Enforcement, Regulation 1992.
Again, a standard response from the council, another big mistake. This drew the Living Man and Living Woman's attention to the regulation they quoted. They found out it was amended in 2003. That amendment omitted Schedule 2 and took away all the Magistrates' Court's power to issue a liability order for council tax and committal to prison. Forms A, B, and C were omitted and do not exist. Let us have a look at that very important amendment. These forms were omitted from law, 1st October 2003 in England, and no forms substituted in their place. This also includes the forms for committal to prison. The Council Tax, Administration and Enforcement, Amendment No. 2, England, Regulations 2003. Section 3.3 omits Schedule 2. Schedule 2, which contains prescribed forms A, B, and C by use by magistrates' courts when making a liability order or issuing a warrant committing a debtor to prison, is omitted. Ribble Valley Borough Council sent via normal post 2 alleged court summons, one to the Living Man and one to the Living Woman, both asking for the same amount of money for an alleged debt. This means the total of the 2 summons was double the alleged debt. This, on its own, is fraud with intent to defraud. These summons were allegedly issued by either Blackburn Magistrates' Court or Lancashire Magistrates' Court, dated 7th June 2022, in respect of council tax. So, which court issued the court summons? The alleged court summons was not signed by the justice issuing it. No name of the justice was stated, was not authenticated by the signature of the clerk of a magistrate's court, and had no official court seal. The Magistrates' Courts Rules 1981, Section 98. 1. A summons shall be signed by the justice issuing it or state his name, and be authenticated by the signature of the clerk of a magistrate's court. Ribble Valley Borough Council tell you not to attend the court, then tell you to attend the court.
Important, please do not physically attend the court. You are therefore summoned to appear on.
Ribble Valley Borough Council tell you to reply only to them, not the alleged issuing magistrate's court.
All correspondence and inquiries regarding this summons should be made to Council Tax, Ribble Valley Borough Council, Council Offices, Church Walk, Clitheroe, BB72RA.
So you are not allowed to attend and defend yourself at the alleged issuing magistrate's court. Send any supporting documents for evidence to the alleged magistrate's court. Write to the alleged issuing magistrate's court. Only Ribble Valley Borough Council. The living man and living woman's suspicions grew. Ribble Valley Borough Council, still ignoring all the documents sent to them by the living man and living woman, sent another letter dated 5th July 2022 claiming the following.
The council has been granted a liability order against you by the magistrate's court.
The letter did not state which magistrate's court. No liability order was presented showing an official court seal, an official liability order number, a name or signature of the justice who authorized the alleged liability order. Remember, magistrates' courts no longer have the authority to issue liability orders for council tax. Therefore, no lawful liability order could have possibly been issued from a magistrate's court, unless it was a forged document or does not exist. It appears Ribble Valley Borough Council are unlawfully acting as a court. Local Government Act, 1888. Section 78. 2. Provided that the transfer of powers and duties enacted by this Act shall not authorize any county council or any committee or member thereof a. to exercise any of the powers of a court of record, or b. to administer an oath, or c. to exercise any jurisdiction under the Summary Jurisdiction Acts, or perform any judicial business, or otherwise act as justices or a justice of the peace. The living man and living woman were alarmed at the situation unfolding. They were now asking themselves three important questions. Is the Ribble Valley Borough Council's intent to extort money unlawfully from the very people they should be serving, by exploiting council's alleged powers of authority, using deceit and criminal coercion? Why is the government allowing this to go on? Why is the new King Charles III allowing this to go on? After all, he is supposed to be the king for the people, isn't he? Ribble Valley Borough Council, still believing their own power, corruption and lies, continued with the fraud and intent to defraud. They breached the Data Protection Act 2018 by passing the alleged debt to Marston Recovery, July 2022. Marston Recovery is a branch of the parent company Marston Holdings. Marston Recovery tried to recover the alleged debt with intimidating letters delivered via post and by hand. They also made 2 visits in black vans. Marston Recovery never produced an official court liability order. Corporations like Marston Recovery rely on fear to control you. They just keep sending pieces of paper with lots of threats and intimidation in boxes and red ink, etc., just like the TV License Corporation does. Marston Recovery have no authority, no jurisdiction, and no liability order. This was made clear in a document sent to Marston Holdings, the parent company for Marston Recovery. Marston's failed to collect any money and pass the alleged debt back to Ribble Valley Borough Council.
If you don't pay, we will return your case to our client so they can consider committal proceedings. This would involve a magistrate's court being asked to decide whether you should be committed to prison for not paying the money you owe.
This is nothing more than fear tactics to get you to pay money for something you should not be paying in the first place. Remember, the magistrate's court forms for council tax liability orders and committal to prison was omitted in 2003 and never replaced. Marston Holdings know this, but still allow intimidating letters full of threats and lies to be sent out. They hope the recipient will crumble and pay with no questions asked. In March 2023, Ribble Valley Borough Council chose to ignore all the legislation they have breached, even when it was pointed out to them, possible fines that could be issued against them, and lengthy prison sentences for all involved in the ongoing frauds. Despite all this, Ribble Valley Borough Council went ahead and issued another council tax bill. Ribble Valley Borough Council issued 2 more court summons, allegedly from Lancashire Magistrates Court or Blackburn Magistrates Court, with all the same frauds as last year's. It seems the indoctrination runs deep with the employees at Ribble Valley Borough Council, and the ability to think for themselves has been stripped away from them. Their spirit is dead, their soul is asleep. They act and behave like the all-capital letter legal fiction they are. They are legally dead, according to the Black's Law Dictionary. But that's for another video. Ribble Valley Borough Council sent a letter dated 4th July 2023 saying,
"The council has been granted a liability order against you by the Magistrates Court."
The letter has all the same frauds as last year's. Ribble Valley Borough Council chose to ignore one very important fact, a fact that they were made very aware of, and is in the Council Tax Handbook, 13th edition, published 2021. The book quotes,
Note, the Form A, originally provided to draw up liability orders was removed from law, from 10th July 2003 in Wales, and 1st October 2003 in England, and no form has been substituted in its place.
Magistrates' courts stopped issuing liability orders for council tax. 1st October 2003, the Council Tax, Administration and Enforcement, Amendment No. 2, England, Regulations 2003. Section 3.3, omit Schedule 2. Schedule 2, which contains prescribed forms A, B, and C, by use by magistrates' courts when making a liability order or issuing a warrant committing a debtor to prison, is omitted. Fraud Act 2006 Section 7. Making or supplying articles for use in frauds. 1. A person is guilty of an offence if he makes, adapts, supplies, or offers to supply any article. A. Knowing that it is designed or adapted for use in the course of, or in connection with fraud. Or B. Intending it to be used to commit, or assist in the commission of, fraud. 2. A person guilty of an offence under this section is liable. A. On summary conviction, to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 months, or to a fine not exceeding the statutory maximum, or to both. B. On conviction on indictment, to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years, or to a fine, or to both. There is more legislation Ribble Valley Borough Council and Marston Holdings/Recovery have breached. This is not a complete list, but it's a start. Cognitive dissonance is confirmation of patent ambiguity, which can never be argued into truth, not in any court, and therefore is a fraud, and fraud with intent to defraud. Malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance is a very serious crime with lengthy prison sentences. Malfeasance is a deliberate act with criminal intent to defraud. Ribble Valley Borough Council and Marston Holdings have been legally ambiguous. The name of every employee that has sent threatening letters from Ribble Valley Borough Council and Marston Holdings has been added to an ongoing case file, along with the evidence that is stacking up against them. Unfortunately, the employees from Ribble Valley Borough Council and Marston Holdings, who were just doing their job without thinking, following government legislation and sending out demands and threats, are now personally liable for damages in a personal private capacity. They also face the prospect of a long period of time in jail. The phrase,
Ich habe nur Befehle befolgt.
I was just following orders,
Ich habe nur meine Arbeit gemacht.
I was just doing my job, is no excuse and did not end well for indoctrinated World War II German soldiers. Nobody is above the law. Ignorance is no defense, especially when the evidence has already been given and an option to cure has been ignored many times. Fraud is clearly defined as a criminal act, with full knowledge and intent to engage in criminal behavior for the personal gain of oneself or another, to the expense of another party. The living man and living woman decided to send a data subject access request under the Data Protection Act 2018 on 24 July 2023 to see a copy of the alleged magistrate's court-issued liability order. You guessed it, over 2 months and no response. More failings to add to the list. Anyone can make a subject access request. Ribble Valley Borough Council have to respond and give information when asked for. The following is from Information Commissioner's Office and clearly shows how Ribble Valley Borough Council should have responded. How long does an organization have to respond?
An organization normally has to respond to your request within 1 month. If you have made a number of requests or your request is complex, they may need extra time to consider your request and they can take up to an extra 2 months to respond. If they are going to do this, they should let you know within 1 month that they need more time and why.
What should an organization send back to me?
When an organization responds to your request, they should normally tell you whether or not they process your personal information and, if they do, give you copies of it. The organization should also include what they are using your information for, who they are sharing your information with, how long they will store your information, and how they made this decision. Details on your rights to challenge the accuracy of your information, to have it deleted, or to object to its use. Your right to complain to the ICO. Details about where they got your information from. Whether they use your information for profiling or automated decision-making and how they are doing this, and what security measures they took if they have transferred your information to a third country or an international organization.
All signatories to the United Nations have a lawful obligation to comply with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. That any country failing to comply with the Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, would be guilty of committing crimes against its people. This is applicable to Ribble Valley Borough Council and Marston Holdings. United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948.
Article 4. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms.
This includes the use of the legal name.
Article 7. All are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination.
The living are discriminated against.
Article 12. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home or correspondence, nor to attacks upon his honor and reputation. Everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks.
The rights of the living are being ignored.
Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance.
This includes the right, with others, to stand under common law, be a member of a community, and to conduct their business under common law.
Article 20. No one may be compelled to belong to an association.
This includes becoming a citizen/person of the United Kingdom. Don't forget our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, confirmed that we operate a slavery system within the UK.
Mr. Speaker, but look, our position on this is clear. If you arrive here illegally, you will not be able to claim asylum here. You will not be able to access the modern slavery system, and you will not...
As of 4th October 2023, Ribble Valley Borough Council have not 1. Answered any questions with credible answers. 2. Provided any proof living men and living women have to pay council tax. 3. Provided a copy of a lawfully issued court summons. 4. Provided a copy of a lawfully issued liability order. 5. Stopped acting as a court. 6. Followed the Modern Slavery Act 2015. 7. Accepted any opportunity to cure. 8. Answered a subject access request. 9. Listened to the people and have ignored a lawfully issued court order. As of 4th October 2023, Marston Holdings have 1. Aided and abetted Ribble Valley Borough Council. 2. Been complicit in fraud and fraud with intent to defraud. 3. Continued to demand money with menace. 4. Not followed the Modern Slavery Act 2015. Living men and living women operate within common law, God's law, natural law, standing under the basic principles of cause no loss, no harm, and no injury to another. As such, since the beginning of time, statutes are extraneous to common law, natural law, God's law. Statutes create harm wherever possible and are not fit for purpose. This is in contradiction to the cause no loss, no harm, and no injury of common law. Knowledge is power.
Funkstar.